じゃあ、ブリアンナさん、自己紹介お願いします。
はじめまして、ブリアナで34歳です。ニューヨーク出身です。アメリカと東京行ったり来たりしてるんです。でも、10月日本に引っ越すんです。で、ヨコ大好きなんです。なんで、20カ国行ったことあるんです。例えば、韓国とかイタリアとかいたんです。友達と11月2週間ニュージーランド行くんです。あと、めっちゃ日本人の友達作ったから日本語頑張ってるんです。よろしくお願いします。
おー、よろしくお願いします。Amazing! Good job! 素晴らしい。
Thank you.
So, Brianna さん、welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
joining.
Thank you for having me.
And first of all, congratulations on your challenge. You spoke Japanese to the camera on YouTube.
Thank you. Yeah, this was the first time, so it's always a challenge, but you need it and I love it. So,
Amazing. I
yeah.
I asked you before that is have you ever tried to speak something on the YouTube and you said no. And this the first challenge is you speaking Japanese. How difficult challenge it is.
Yeah, it's very difficult. Like I've been studying and learning on and off for the last maybe 4 years, and it's still difficult. But I tried different methods, so this is the first time that I'm feeling more confident when I do speak, and I'm grateful for you and my teacher Chido. So thank you so much.
Amazing. So,
Mhm.
listeners want to know you like why you are learning Japanese and what do you do? So, can you tell me like what do you do for a living right now? Where are you?
So right now I'm in Boston, Massachusetts. I work at a hospital here and I specialize in the heart. I do ultrasounds of the heart. So I'm currently in a transition where I'll be going more into research. And with that being said, it's completely remote. And that's why I want to be able to live anywhere that I want from now on. So that's my motive for my new change. And I was like, okay, then I'm going to Japan. That's it.
Amazing. And then why you chose Japan?
So it's funny because when I started traveling, I was going mostly to Europe and the Caribbean islands because, being from New York, it's pretty close. And those are like, I guess, the more common places for Americans to go, like at the time. And I've done them so many times. And I was like, I really want to go to Asia. I wasn't like overly like, oh, I've always wanted to go, but I wanted to try it. But that wasn't the main thing that took me to learning Japanese. The main thing was in 2021, and I don't know if it's got anything to do with COVID, but I was just feeling incredibly depressed. And I felt like every day was exactly the same. And I didn't have anything bad. I have a house there and I had a job, and I think it just became a rut. And long story short, I actually have a bird, and birds are incredibly intelligent, and you need to give them so much mental stimulation like every single day. And I thought to myself, like, if he needs that, then I must need that even more as a human. Our minds are so strong. So I was like, maybe I need something to just study. And I started to think like I've always wanted to learn a language. So I just randomly, I was like, I want to learn something that I can start from scratch. Like, I don't know anything at all. So I picked Japanese because I was also listening to some international music and I was like, let me just try it. And that's kind of like what got me started. And as soon as I started, just trying to learn hiragana, katakana, just giving myself something to study was like, it made me feel better immediately. So that was kind of like how I got to this point. And it's been incredibly rewarding ever since. So the more I learned the language, the more I learned about the culture. And eventually, when I made it to Japan in 2023 for the first time, it was the first time out of all the countries I've been to that I thought, like, I fell in love with it. And it's just clean and the people are kind. And so I just knew ever since then, I was like, I could live here. So
Wow. I didn't know that you have that background.
it was quite the path to get to that point. But I truly feel like language opened so many doors. And I did, I went on to language apps to make friends. And so by the time I got to Japan, I already knew a few people. So it was really exciting to go there and know some people who could take me to the local spots as well.
Amazing. And then,
Mm,
a lot of people actually travel to Japan, especially like this year and since last year, it's even more and more foreigners visiting Japan. But it's totally different. You are just visiting Japan and with the Google Translate, or you actually start learning the language. Why
right.
you decided to learn Japanese? Japanese it's one of the hardest languages.
So it's so different when you are trying to figure out Google Translate. It's harder to make connections as well. But even, at the point I was learning, I didn't know how invested I would become. It was more that I would just learn and just give my mind something to just keep growing as an individual. And then all of a sudden it became like I'm learning because I want to live there, because I want to have my friendships. And so before I started to study with Japan Language Factory, I was using apps, and I did study before I went the first time. And you're taught the very formal ways. So when I finally went to Japan thinking I knew enough to go to the convenience store or go to the restaurant, it didn't match what I was learning. And I was like, wait, did I learn Japanese or did I learn something else? So I was like, it just didn't get any easier. So the best part about being with Japan Language Factory was that, you learn based on what you need, So I spoke to my teacher. I was like, okay, biggest thing, you go to the konbini. You always go to the konbini. It's the one of the best things about Japan. Like they're so good. And we went over just getting a bag, like, just going up and like when they ask for a bag or if you need anything else. And just even having that, which we studied for maybe like a couple of like two lessons. I went to Japan and I used that every day. And it felt so rewarding to like walk out of there and you're like, I didn't even use English. That felt really, really good. Or going out to eat, like, and they notice it, like the Japanese people, they notice and like, wow, you do so well. And I'm like, you're always learning, but I'm so thankful for Jiro and her patience to teach me. So it's been fun. And it didn't even take that many times. It's just taking that little bit of time every single day.
Amazing. And then,
Mm.
now in 2025, if you just try to learn a new language, there's thousands of ways to learn. Now it's like a Duolingo is $1 billion company. And then, there are ChatGPT. And why you chose Japan Language Factory?
So I was on Instagram and it just, I was obviously like looking up Japanese things that the algorithm changed to language, and one of the ads came up for Japan Language Factory, and I saw you there, like in the way you explain, like don't waste your time, like speak like like the people of Japan, not just like it's almost like speaking in English, like hello there. Like we don't talk that way. So yeah, so I liked, I'm like, oh well, that makes sense, I want to talk like that. And I've tried so many other ways already. I've tried Duolingo. I've done other apps too that I have paid for, and they are good. I did learn some vocabulary and basics about like the particles and all of that, but it didn't help me speak. So this is the first time that I didn't even have many lessons, and it already helped me in Japan like every single day. So it's been probably my best decision as of language learning so far. And like what you teach about, what you explain in the I guess ad is exactly what I've gotten. Like I've gotten that same reward that you've spoken of. So really thank you.
I'm really glad to hear. So, if anybody
Mm,
actually want to learn Japanese formally, I think we're not providing that. But if somebody
right.
actually really want to be able to speak, and it's something like anybody want to shortcut, they just want to speak, not about kanji, not about like a grammar test. I think I can recommend. But what do you think? By experience, this what actually surprised you this learning structure with Chihiro?
Yeah, well, I didn't know what to, I kind of like learned about what is, how it's taught. And then it was another, once we got started, she goes over my goals, okay, what's your like immediate goal? What's your 1 month goal, 3 month goal, 6 month goal? And so she goes over anything I've, she goes over what I wanted to learn. And I was like, okay, well, one thing I've learned is, because I think at this point I was also in Japan for some of the lessons. So at first I was like, okay, I want to be able to meet people and just speak with them, or just go to like go out to eat and not have to use English, or be like two people, and just speaking. And it's very exciting. It's those small wins that mean a lot. And then there were times that I worked out at the gym and I'm like, I want to ask if they're still using that equipment. So my next lesson, I was like, okay, I want to add like things I could say at the gym, about like, oh, like, can I use this weight? Are you done? And then our next lesson was based on that. So it's like everything that I needed in the moment. It's like, okay, let's learn this. And I had this not script, but like these phrases I can like say, not just individual words, but the phrases. And I thought that's the most important. So you're not focusing on the individual words and trying to make up like things. So I think it's been the most effective way. And of course, speaking is the biggest part of the language. I mean, when you go out to eat, you get past like, oh, I got two people, then you ask for an English menu. If they don't have that, then that's another thing in itself. But, I mean, although Japanese is difficult, it is very exciting to learn. So I've had fun. Like, although it's hard, I've been having a lot of enjoyment and excited for my own personal growth.
Amazing. So the
Mhm.
one last request from me is, like you, maybe living in New York, and maybe some people actually feeling like something stuck, like every day it's the same things, and want to discover something different world. But it's
Mhm.
learning Japanese is something scary too. Like, what if I just spend and the time and I don't remember anything? It's always kind of scary things that is like, especially like learning Japanese. So, what will be your advice for them to push this year?
I think it's just time is, if you have one life, you have to make that life count. If this is something you want to do, you can absolutely do it. I don't have it easy to learn Japanese. For me, studying has always been very difficult. And I think that's one of the things that also drew me to this, is that you mentioned, oh, you just need 10 minutes a day at least, just do that, and it makes a difference. And like, as I mentioned to you before the call, I had a injury when I was a kid, so so I do have a stutter. And even with that, like, I could choose like to not speak at all, and just to clam up and not enjoy life based on something small that really only is going to bother me. And instead, I'm like, you know what, this is something I want to learn, I want to make friends, and it's never stopped me from any of that. So whatever battles you have inside, you should see, like, is it like really in only inside of you? Because if it is, you can overcome it. You can, like, if you want to live in Japan, there's always a way. You can always reach any of the goals that you want. It's just taking away all those walls and just doing it.
Thank
And
you.
so